It's the Final Word Daily. Adam Collins and Daniel Norcross here on the turf at Headingley, brought to you for the first time by the Advanced Hair Studio, the world champions in hair restoration. Daniel, as we do, in the time-honoured tradition of this program, tell us all about the day in the space of 30 seconds.
England's hearts must have dropped when they lost the toss on a beautiful sunny batting day on a pitch that looked absolutely perfect for that batting, but regular inroads did they make. Debutant Overton getting rid of Conway, Broad with a couple of wickets, Latham another failure up top. But guess what? It wouldn't be this summer if it wasn't Mitchell and Blundell putting on a century partnership, and they did it again, batting undefeated after tea to leave the game beautifully poised at 225 for 5. Who knows where this game is going to go?
Very nice. Cliched as it is, honours even on the basis that England wins session 1 and 2 in New Zealand. Great fight back, rain interrupted final session. They put on 102 Messrs Mitchell and Blundell, as they tend to do so routinely, 78 and 45 respectively. It feels like Daryl Mitchell's going to make 178. I mean, yeah, there was that opportunity leg before wicket that they didn't review when he was in single digits, and there are a couple of, you wouldn't call them half opportunities, but miscues on the reverse sweep. But take it as a whole, as the ground staff nearly take us out in their truck to start the episode. Good start. You just got to say that Daryl Mitchell, averaging over 60 in Test cricket, he's a player reborn.
He's extraordinary though, isn't he? Because it's based not on the virtues of Mitchell, which we thought before we knew about, his white ball virtues, smashing it to all parts. It's based on the most rock-solid defence, and indeed, that LBW notwithstanding, which is a beautiful piece of bowling in actual fact. Lovely swing bowling from Matthew Potts, who was very unlucky today not to pick up a wicket. But it was his defence that has not let him down at all, and he loves defending it. That's the thing. When it hits the middle of that bat, which it does so often, and just gets pushed up to mid-off, he shows the bowler that bat. So we've
shows him the maker's label.
He does. It's quite an aggressive defence. It's really wonderful to watch, and I was very, very impressed with the way he batted today, because yet again he's got his side out of a real hole. Because how do they find themselves on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
on a road?
It was really a road. I mean, look.
A road, albeit a road where the ball did move around for a time, but but not off the seam. It was in the air.
It spun a bit, and it did swing occasionally when Broad got it to swing and Potts got it to do a little bit, but it was only a little bit. Leach was getting some turn, but you saw that it was an easy pace pitch. You saw it was a bit back of a length. People were playing vertical bat shot pushes through the covers. It was racing away on this incredibly quick outfield, because it's a massive square here at Headingley. And it just felt perfect for batting. And, I thought once New Zealand won the toss, I was expecting like sort of 320 for 3 or 4.
Well, we were joking before we went on air, 500 versus 500, weren't we? Just on the basis of the straw-coloured pitch, but Stuart Broad intervention in the first over, opening the bowling from the Kirkstall lane end, which he loves to do, Anderson loves to do. They kind of fight over this end. But Broad gets first opportunity because Anderson's not playing this week with that ankle complaint, or ankle niggle, barely even a niggle. Had the test been on the line, or the series been on the line, Anderson would be playing. Instead, he's being held back for India next week, and Jamie Overton gets his chance. But Latham, who's having a tough series, nicks off in the first over. Broad gets Williamson as well just before lunch, which was an important moment after Williamson battled a bit but got a start. Broad bowled so nicely. If anything, he might have been a bit underbowled, I felt today. And then about the defence of Mitchell, I reckon part of what he does well is he gets outside the line of the off stump before the ball's bowled. He shuffles across. So he brings in that extra element of doubt when the ball does strike him on the front pad, and I think that's what convinced Ben Stokes not to review, and umpire Erasmus not to give that leg before shout out, which, by the way, it was hitting middle stump halfway up. That was probably, in hindsight, the biggest moment of the day. That should have been out.
It really was, huge moment, and it hit him bang in front of off stump. It wasn't umpire's call or anything of that sort, but you're right, because he moves across a little and you could see leg stump, that kind of encourages the umpire and the reviewer to think, has he got outside the line? He so often does get outside the line. And because they burned a review in very curious, almost controversial circumstances, when Henry Nicholls was adjudged not out, and then on the replay it looked from the replay that the replay showed that he hadn't got an edge on it, but umpire Aleem Dar decided that because the noise was so close to the point when the ball was passing the bat, he decided that it was an inside edge, and that ball was also shown to be crashing into the stumps. Now, I'm not saying for 1 minute that was a diabolical decision by the umpire, far from it. It was a marginal decision, but because they burned the review, because it was given not out because of the inside edge, they lost the review, which then meant, do we take another review so soon? That's kind of the pressure of the review, and you don't actually, how cricketers constantly say, play each ball on its merits, play each review on its merits, but it doesn't work like that. If you've just lost one, then you feel this terrible pressure.
Yeah, there's a baggage, isn't there? You see it with captains all the time.
All the time.
After a howler, they don't go when they should. And
actually, well, Phil Walker said something really interesting on commentary as well, which is, of all the players actually you don't want doing reviews, it's Stokes, not Broad, it's Stokes, because Stokes has such little care for the fine margins. You know, he comes in, if it's given not out, it's not out. He marches back to his mark and comes in to bowl again. That's his attitude. So in a way, the review system isn't meant for him. A lot of cricketers, you know, very performative, and they love all that. They go, no, come on, give it to me, let's go and check. Whereas Stokes, it's almost like he's got more respect for the umpire than that. It's almost like he's, so our umpire said not out, we'll just get on with it, lads. And so that's not in his temperament, really, to be a good reviewer. And I think there's something in that. And it was a key moment for England, because if Mitchell goes there, and much like actually as Mitchell should have been caught at Trent Bridge when he's on 3, Mitchell's played really well, but cricket's a strange and capricious beast, isn't it? The luck is going with him, and he is making the very, very most of it.
So Mitchell, as I said before, on 78 not out overnight. Stokes didn't bowl today. So last week before the Nottingham Test match, he said that he wouldn't bowl and bowled 15 overs on day one. Today he didn't bowl after saying he could bowl here. In the end, Jack Leach and Joe Root bowled 37 overs between them on the opening day. Didn't see that coming. Leach 30 overs, 2 for 75. Got a wicket with his first ball. That might get a run. In fact, both of his wickets might get a run in the Advanced Hair Hall of Fame in a moment. But the fact that Leach had 7 wickets at 70 against New Zealand coming into this Test match, I'm not saying he was ever a realistic chance of being left out, but you know, the pressure is building on that young man. He's not a young man anymore either, I should say. He's quite deep into his Test career, and the confidence he'll have out of making a contribution on day one, that will pay dividends later in the Test match.
Well, the difference between picking a spinner at Trent Bridge and picking him at Headingley is enormous, because there's something in there for the spinner, and by getting the wicket with the first ball he bowled, you could just see his confidence get elevated, and it was a genuine wicket. You know, it turned from the straightened and got Will Young out propping forward. It was like he was sort of ambushed by it. Well, at Trent Bridge, the pitch was just not good for spinning. It never has been. And, you know, Jack Leach hasn't been left out of England's sides at home for 3 years for no reason. It's because the pitches aren't very helpful for him. Here, he turned a couple really sharply, actually, and it's when he changed ends. Alex Hartley on BBC commentary said something very interesting about how coming up the hill for the left arm spinner, she thinks means that you control your action better.
Okay.
And when he started down the hill, he started from our end here, the Kirkstall Lane end, and he bowled a few shorter balls which we'd sort of seen a little bit of at Trent Bridge, and it was just easy ones into the gap. He tightened up a lot as he came up the hill, and it's a noticeable slope.
Oh yeah,
ahead. It's a real slope.
You are running down the hill from this end.
You really are, and I think that helped him. And when he's going at 2.5 and over, then, you know, that's kind of a captain's dream. If you've lost the toss and your spinner then is a holding spinner, that's what you need him to be. I mean, I think from an England point of view, if Stokes had been able to bowl, then he surely would have bowled. I mean, you know, there was a strange passage of play after tea when England had burst through. They'd got that 5th wicket just before tea, more of which shortly, and they'd got Blundell new to the crease. And they opened up with Joe Root for 3 overs.
Yeah, this was the most unusual part of the day. Yeah. So they have a chance to take on Blundell after tea, who is in great nick, made 100 last week, made 96 at Lords the week before that. And they give them 6 overs of, I'm not saying it was throwdowns from Leach's end, and I'm not sort of necessarily criticising Root either, by the way, but why not unleash a bloke, Jamie Overton, on Test debut, who was bowling up above 90 mile an hour just before that break? It seemed like the logical thing to do. That point of difference, England haven't had an out-and-out fast bowler in the series until today. Blundell hasn't been tested by bowling that quickly in the series, and instead of doing that immediately, they let him reach 20-odd before he even saw a seamer.
And look, you know, Root's record against right-handers is unsurprisingly not great. He averages over 80 or something against right-handers. Off-spinners tend to struggle more against right-handers. These weren't 2 lefties he was bowling at. And also, look, there was the Overton, there was the potential for Potts, because they just had the tea break. So he could have bowled at that stage. Even Broad could have bowled. There was a long time to go until the second new ball.
Well, I think they were playing for the second new ball that far out. That's what it felt like.
But it was 26 overs away, which is a long, long way. And you don't want to give Mitchell and Blundell 26 overs to get going.
We've seen that the last 2 weeks.
This is exactly. This is your chance to stop that happening, and they didn't. So I was a bit confused by that. But what it did really confirm for us is that Stokes clearly didn't think he was fit to bowl. Otherwise, he genuinely surely would have bowled.
Yeah, they were able to suck the life out of those last couple of hours, even with the rain delay thrown in there. Jamie Overton, his first day in international cricket, in Test cricket. You've seen a lot of him at Surrey since he signed there 2 years ago. He pretty much did what it said on the tin, didn't it? He banged it in halfway, bowled a lot of short balls, but got his wicket, his first wicket in Test cricket from a full ball, a chop on from Devon Conway.
Yeah, and that's how they've been trying to get Devon Conway all series. And they've succeeded a few times, the inside edge as well. He did inside edge one that folks, I'm not going to call it a drop because it was an incredibly hard chance, diving a full length to his right, got a glove to it. But that is how they see themselves getting Conway, and they got it, and it was perfect. It was lovely that Jamie Overton on debut was executing an England plan for a guy he's probably hardly ever bowled at. Yeah, and he got his man. And it's lovely when you hit the stumps on debut, isn't it? He was delighted. He went on a huge lap of honour, as he had every right to do. And I think it's just lovely that we got another pair of twins who've played Test cricket. Yeah,
I think, what are we? Is this the third or fourth pair of twins that have played together? Something like that. In terms of the statistical minds that you're in today, that pair of Mitchell and Blundell have now made more than 1,000 runs together. Faced more than 1,000 balls together, over 500 runs. The 1,000 ball mark, though, that's only the third time in any Test series two batters have been together for that long in the middle. And that one of them was this year, a couple of months ago in Pakistan with Shafiq and Imam al-Haq. And you go back to 2006 with Muhammad Yusuf and Yunus Khan. But the point is that this doesn't happen too often.
No, and it's a 3-test series, and it's the first innings of the second Test match. There really could be. They obviously have a really good rapport together. And it's when they batted that's been really interesting, actually, because they've come in with New Zealand under pressure, but with the ball a bit softer. So they've had one thing to their advantage, which is the conditions a little bit easier to bat than at the very top of the order. But on the other side of it, they've got massive scoreboard pressure. And their temperament has been superb. And as I've said, I mean, I just love watching Mitchell. I love watching Mitchell defend. I love watching Blundell being so crabby and low and flexing those knees and sort of like he defends those three sticks with his life. And I like that. And when we've spent so much of the time in the last couple of weeks talking about how the Test cricket rule book is being torn up, thrown away. We've got something totally new. We've got crazy wang bang, thank you man, Test cricket. Well, those two are going, no, we're not doing that. We are not doing that. We're playing proper Test cricket. All right. They've done it brilliantly.
Daniel, time to fire up. It's time for the Final Word Hall of Fame. The Final Word Hall of Fame brought to you proudly by the Advanced Hair Studio, the world champions in hair restoration. We are thrilled to be presenting this segment on behalf of them for the rest of the England summer and in Sri Lanka in a couple of weeks. No reason to have to suffer from hair loss in the future like you have, Daniel.
Well, do you know, a lot of people won't realise this, but when I was younger, I was a cherubic young man. Even through my teens, I had locks like Robert Redford. I was like a kind of young Sting, if you can imagine such a thing. And I would love to be restored to my former glory. We can do this.
I mean, it's 100% guarantee. Over 1 million people have enjoyed the service over the last 3 decades. If we put our mind to it, it's not too late. Even at your, I wouldn't say advancing years, but you are 53 now.
I am,
advancing to an extent. That sort of suggests like you're 70 or something, doesn't it?
I could do with taking 10 or 15 years off me as well.
Well, you know.
Because I got a little bit here. And I've receded.
Let's tidy up the locks. And if you want to, if anyone wants to, Advanced Hair, let me get this right, advancedhairstudio.com/final word. advancedhairstudio.com/final word. 15% off. All you need to do is jump on the website, pump in your details, and one of the specialists from the Advanced Hair Studio will get in touch. Now,
and I could wring my hand through my hair like Wasim Raja again.
Our nominations, we're Sport for Choice today. Why don't we start with a bald man, Jack Leach. Wicket with his first delivery. He could do with some advanced hair. And then, which in itself, we've already discussed the importance of. His second wicket, though, was slightly ridiculous. I've only seen this when Andrew Simons and Michael Clarke had an incident 15 years ago where the Simon smacked it into Clarke, non-striker's end, ballooned up, taken it mid-wicket. This was different. This came off the face of the bat of Daryl Mitchell, probably Nichol's best shot of the summer in terms of how he middled it, and he faced 99 deliveries for his 19. He couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe it. I wouldn't be entirely surprised if it prompts a little tweak from the MCC.
Oh, what, like called dead ball or something?
Well, if it's the umpire, it's dead ball in that situation and went to a fielder, so I'm told. But just go through it in a bit more depth.
Okay, so what's happened is that Leach has bowled the first ball of the last over before tea, tossed it up a little, and Nichols has smashed it back around about waist height. Timed it gloriously, but because he's timed it so well, it's kind of arced towards Mitchell. He's hit it so firmly. All Mitchell can do is kind of try to limbo out of the way. As he limbos out of the way, being as he is in such terrific form,
he's middling everything.
He's middling everything, and it comes off the bat like this, bounces. It ricochets off the bat in a gentle arc to mid-off. I mean, fair play to mid-off. Alex Lees, I think it was, wasn't it?
It was.
He had to be smart enough to be watching, as the ball came towards him, and the ball hadn't touched the ground. He takes a simple catch. Poor old Henry Nicholls has to go. Daryl Mitchell should have been given out LBW about 20 minutes before, but instead he is the architect of his own teammates' downfall. If that is not Hall of Fame worthy, I don't know what is.
And remember,
it was shocking.
The last
brilliant.
time, as Henry Moran pointed out on our SEM broadcast, the last time a ball hit a bat in an unusual way between these teams, it was 6 runs in the World Cup final.
Yes.
So New Zealand on the rough end of that.
They don't get good luck when the ball ricochets off bats in this country.
I've got an anti-Hall of Fame, which we sometimes raise. That bloody ridiculous drinks break in the final session when they knew the rain was about to start, that was a 6-minute drinks break. We had a 9-minute drinks break last week. Get your act together. This is preposterous. I know that broadcasters have to take the long 2.5-minute ad break to fulfil their obligations to the World Fed. I get all of that, but there has to be a better way, knowing full well the rain was imminent.
But it was also how it happened as well. So it started, Overton had gone back to his mark to start the over, and it'd taken quite a while to do that because they were mithering about the ball, weren't they? And then the umpire, everyone was in position.
One of the 20 times I tried to get it changed today.
Exactly. Then the umpires, because the first ball hasn't been bowled, look up and they go, oh, it's actually 5 o'clock. So now we'll have the drinks break. And as you said, 6 minutes. I mean, we were lucky actually that the rain passed through quickly and we got back on. Otherwise, we'd be really angry about that.
Can I have an unrelated Hall of Fame? Maxie's back in the Test squad. Glenn Maxwell's been called up for the Test squad. A lot of our viewers and listeners will be thrilled to hear that Glenn Maxwell has been retained by Australia for the red ball stuff in Gaul next week. We'll be in Gaul next week as well. We go everywhere with the final word. That is it. That is the Hall of Fame. I'm going to read out of my notes again. The Advanced Hair Studio, the world champions in hair restoration. Believe me, that'll be learned soon enough. advancedhairstudio.com/final word for your 15% discount. I think that is it for our show today. Thank you, Daniel Norcross.
That's a pleasure.
Honours even here at Headingley. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.